Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Flash Season 7 review series. And today I am going to be talking about episode 16, P.O.W, POW, which I have just finished watching. And this episode was a lot of fun. This was absolutely fantastic, and we saw the return of David Ramsey, aka John Diggle, who played a big part in this episode, and it was great to have him back. And I think his cameo in this episode was a lot better than Legends of Tomorrow, and we kind of got to see what's been going on with Diggle ever since the night he found that box at the end of Season 8 of Arrow. And even though we didn't quite get any answers as to what exactly John Diggle saw in the box, he kind of said that there are some things that he's been putting off for long enough and he needs to address them. So we kind of got a little hint of what it could possibly be. And also, last but surely not least, we finally saw the live action Arrowverse debut of Impulse, aka Bart Allen, which we're going to get into in a moment. But this episode was absolutely brilliant and a great follow-up to the last episode with all of the Godspeeds. So this episode pretty much continues on from the last episode, and I've got to say this was absolutely brilliant. So we've learned that Kramer and Joe West survived the car explosion that we saw at the end of episode 15, and Diggle was back in action as Spartan, and we got to see him help out the Flash and all of the members of Team Flash. This episode had it all and more, and I just absolutely loved it. This was a really good episode and one of the best episodes of Season 7 so far. And I didn't realise until now we are actually 2 episodes away from this season wrapping up. It's crazy, isn't it? I knew we was coming to the end of Season 7, but I just didn't think it was actually going to be that early. I was expecting to have at least maybe 4 more episodes left, but now we've actually got 2 episodes left. One of them is going to be the 150th special with Impulse, and as we've also learned that the next episode is actually the season finale of the show, which is basically part 2 of episode 17. So lots to talk about here. Great episode. Let's get straight into it. Let's talk about episode 16, POW, P.O.W. So we start off this episode where we see Barry is watching a news report about how bad the Godspeed War is getting, and he prepares to head back out to fight them when his daughter Nora appears to him again, warning him that he has to do something before it's too late. It turns out that it's actually just a dream, though the threat seems to be very real. At Star Labs, Barry speeds in, having just beaten by more Godspeeds, and Iris remains home sick, and the Godspeed attacks are getting worse and they can't predict it. Cecile alerts the team that she hasn't heard from Joe, and it turns out that because of the Godspeeds, nobody can actually call in or out of Central City. Outside of Central City, a man named Adam comes up on the burning wreckage of the car, but Joe and Kramer both survived and managed to escape the vehicle. Now they are being hunted. Joe tries to call for help, but Adam is also jamming the cell service. Caitlin confronts Barry about what is upsetting him, and he tells her about the dreams he's been having about his daughter and how it's worrying him. He questions what everything means, since Godspeed was originally a villain from her future. As he's trying to sort things out, who better to show up to help him at the right time than Arrow's very own John Diggle, who shows up with what might be a way to end the Godspeed War. This was such a badass moment, and John Diggle just came straight in, like the boss that he is, didn't miss a beat, and I just loved it. I just absolutely jumped out of my chair and said, "Yes, my man's here." So it was really great to see John Diggle, and as I mentioned already, it was actually good to see him back and actually have a much bigger role, something to get his teeth into. Legends of Tomorrow cameo was kind of a hit and miss for me. Great to see him, of course, but just didn't do it for me. His appearance in Batwoman with Luke Fox was just brilliant, even though it was just one big scene, but it was still great. But here, it was just like old times. John Diggle walks in, ready to help, like the man that he is, and like the hero that we all know and love. So great to have him back, even if it is just for this episode. So we see John Diggle has a device called an entropy trap, something that Cisco made for him. It essentially freezes whatever is caught in the area. They want to use it to trap a Godspeed so they can question it, although Diggle isn't so sure if that's a good idea, and soon he starts having headaches. Diggle and the Flash team up, and they end up catching one of the Godspeeds in the entropy trap. The Godspeed won't talk initially, but when he does, he addresses the Flash as Barry Allen. This Godspeed tells him that one of a set of them wants Barry's speed to give their master, and they will die. The other does not want to die. So they've come back to this time. Both groups are looking for August Hart to prevent him from getting the power in the first place. And for those of you who are not familiar with that name, August Hart actually is the real Godspeed, so he does actually play a big part in this episode, even though he physically doesn't do much, but he's a big part of this just in terms of his involvement. They ask for Barry's help, but Barry won't kill anyone, prompting Godspeed to tell him that if he is not an ally, he is an enemy, and escapes, destroying the trap. Diggle sends the others away after Barry snaps at the team and asks him what is going on. Barry tells him about Nora, and he's worried about what August Hart's being in the present means for Nora and for her future, and he wants to run into the future to check on Nora. Diggle tells him that the most important job is being a father, and there is no distance he wouldn't go for his own family. Barry tells Cecile he's running to 2049 to check on Nora, and Cecile reveals that Iris has been reading Nora's journal and has 3 leads on where August Hart is. Cecile is going to look for him, planning to take Diggle and Allegra with her. But Allegra doesn't answer, and John has an awful headache attack. Now, John Diggle has been saying that he's been seeing a doctor and they haven't been able to figure out what's exactly wrong with him. I think some of that could be traced back to the end of Arrow, when Diggle found this mysterious green box, but we still don't know exactly what's going on with him. But I've got a feeling we're going to find out very soon. Cecile tries to get a read on him, and she's soon overwhelmed by it too. She tells him that what she feels infinite, but Diggle says he'll be fine and they'll deal with it when they're done. Barry goes to run to 2049, but finds the way blocked by Godspeeds. He gets dropped out somewhere and found by Dion, who tells him that they have a lot to talk about. The Godspeeds are feeding on pure Speed Force energy and are keeping Speed Force Nora busy. On top of that, Dion is busy keeping Iris safe. Turns out that something is wrong with Iris. She's phasing through temporal planes, so Dion is stabilising her. Barry returns to Star and tells Caitlin and Chester about what's going on. While searching for August Hart, Diggle has another traumatic episode and is nearly taken out by a Godspeed until Frost shows up. But he refuses to sit out until they catch Hart. They find someone hiding behind a dumpster at the last location, and they're trying to check, and while he doesn't know his name, he knows that this location is important. They take him back to Star Labs. The man agrees to let him use dark matter to try and get his memory jogged, and when they give him a shot, he is able to tell them his real name, August Hart. Kramer and Joe evade Adam all night and then realise he may not know who he is hunting. It gives Kramer an idea. Kramer confronts Adam, distracting him long enough for Joe to get a metacuff onto him. Adam says he's immortal, and after the army lets him down, he decides to be out for himself. He tells her that he gives half of the money he gets from his work back to the reservation. Joe keeps Kramer from shooting him. Esperanza, the cousin of Allegra, now recovering from her surgery, prepares to leave Central City to chase down those involved with Black Hole. She asks Allegra to come with her. Allegra wants to wait until the Godspeed War is over, but Esperanza leaves. Allegra later goes looking for Esperanza and finds her gravely injured. Unfortunately, not only does she reject Allegra, but Esperanza's injuries are too great, and she ends up dying in Allegra's arms before disintegrating to dust. Damn. Whew. That was a pretty dark moment, especially for Flash standards. Damn, that's took me by surprise. So then we see Diggle prepares to leave Central City and tell Barry that there's something he's been putting off for too long and it's almost got him killed. And we get treated to a brief flashback to when Diggle found the glowing green box from the Arrow Season 8 finale. And then he says, I've got to face my issues and deal with it on my own. But if you ever need my help, I'm always there. So Diggle leaves. Sitting, trying to deal with everything, Barry is visited by his daughter Nora, who tells him that everything is going to be okay. And then she tells him that we're both okay. And Barry says, what do you mean we're both? And a moment later, we see another speedster show up, and it's none other than Impulse, aka Bart Allen, who addresses himself as Barry's son. And that is how we end episode 16, and that wraps up my review. As I said already, excellent episode. Enjoyed this a lot. Great to see Diggle. Great to see him have a bigger role in this episode than he did in Legends of Tomorrow. Very interested to know what exactly is causing these headaches, and could it be tied to the green box. And what a treat to see Bart Allen in the flesh in the Arrowverse. Can't wait for the 150th episode, and if his cameo at the end is what we're going to see for the next 2 episodes, then I can't wait, because I'm a huge fan of Bart Allen. He's one of my favourite speedsters. He's up there with Wally West, and Barry Allen. I just love him, and I'm really interested to see how they're going to handle him in the 150th episode. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 16? Did you enjoy it? What's your thoughts on the headaches that John Diggle has been experiencing? Do you think at some points we might get an answer in a future episode? Or do you think they could address that in his next appearance, which is Superman and Lois? And also, what was your thoughts on Bart Allen showing up at the end? What kind of role do you think he's going to play with Nora Allen? And also, what about August Hart? Do you think he could eventually become the official Godspeed again? And also, do you think he could get his full memory back? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Flash Season 7 review series, where I am going to be talking about episode 17, which marks the 150th episode of the show overall. Can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So until next time, take care everybody and stay safe, and once again, thanks for listening.